Hi everyone, it's Paola. Welcome back to the 5th episode in the Freelance series. Yes, there have been 5 episodes. And if you have not seen the other episodes, I have a playlist and they're also linked in the description. If you also are watching me and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. What are you doing with your life? Why are you not subscribed to me? It's just one button. It's just a click. Go for it. Also follow me on Instagram at Paola Kassa. That's also linked in the description. And let's get into our 5th topic in this series. So we've covered a lot of topics in this series. Hopefully they have been beneficial to you. We've covered how I got started. We covered how to get started as a freelance designer. We've covered how to work with clients, how to price things, knowing your value, lots of different topics. And hopefully they have been fun and exciting. And we are continuing on with this episode, which is the legal stuff, contracts, invoices, how to communicate this kind of stuff with your clients, get it done, get paid, make sure that all your bases are covered, and protect yourself, most importantly. So first, what do you need when you are a freelance designer in order to get paid, make sure everything is squared away? What do you need to do? How do you start? So with all of this, basically, it's really not that hard. It's basically just figuring out what you actually need to put on these things. So number one thing that you need is a contract with your clients. So number one thing that you need, the most important thing, is a contract. Do not do any work until they have signed that contract. So what you need to do is you basically need to have a written out legal form. This is a binding thing. Like if they sign it, they are in for the project. They're not going to flake out on you, and this guarantees it. So this contract covers all your bases, and once you get your client to sign it, you also sign it, and there you go. You're ready to start your project. Without a contract, as a freelancer, your client could flake out on you at any moment. Basically, they could back out of something, they could change their mind about something, whatever it is that covers your bases and makes sure that the client is in for the project. And if they do cancel, there is a policy in there of what needs to happen. So I thought I would show you my contract and go through it with you. Woohoo! So I actually have my laptop over here, like off camera, and we're going to talk about what I have on the contract while showing you and just go through the important basics. Now, there are examples of contracts online, and I will also link that in the resources below in the description, but I also can show you what I have written down, and I feel like it covers a lot of the bases. I got my contract from a professor, like how to write it out and stuff, so I feel like I've seen other examples, I've seen other designers that I know who are working as freelancers, and I trust them. So hopefully you can take something from me and, base it off of how you do yours. So what I have on my contract is, first of all, I have it designed very nicely because I would not be a graphic designer without having a pretty contract. Why would I have an ugly contract? It makes no sense. I'm a designer. Everything has to look aesthetically pleasing, right? So what I have there is I have my email, my website, my phone number, which I'm keeping private, but yeah, and then I have the proposal. So I have the client name and the date. So that's just kind of to break it all down on the front page of who we're talking about. I put their email address, usually of the client, and I also like to keep this contract as a saved file so I can go in and edit it and also remember where everything goes all the time. So then at the top, we basically have the project scope. So I address what the project is. I write that out just so it's clear because it has been discussed with the client and now this is it in written form. So I have the project scope, the details of the project, the deliverables, as in what kind of files I'll be delivering, if it's all digital, if it's print, and then I have the timeline. So sometimes the client doesn't have a timeline. I still try to put something in there because I like to keep up with, my honesty and what I'm doing and what they're expecting from me. So even if they don't have a set timeline, which I always ask, I still write something that is, in the next few weeks or the next month or whatever it is, depending on how busy I am at the time. So then I have the provisional proposal part, which just has the exact project and the set price. So then I have the project breakdown. So that is where I go into detail, like bullet point detail about what I am delivering to them and like what we're going through on this project. So I talk about that with my client like first thing. I'm usually like, this is my price and it's for this many rounds of revisions, where we go back and forth talking about it. It also includes this initial lineup meeting, whether that be a phone call, in person, over email, to get a feel for the project. So it's everything that it includes when you're actually designing something for the person. Now to get to the second page of the contract. The contract here really breaks down into the legal portion. So this is where things get a little bit more serious, but it's still very simplified and just very straightforward about what I'm expecting, what they're expecting, and how we can work this all out. So first we have the fee schedule, which I'll go into the invoicing part, but this basically guarantees that you will get paid on schedule according to your contract. So I break it down as one half and then the next half at the end, but there are different ways to do it. And I mean, it's a really good way to make sure that you're getting paid before you start any work, because a lot of people can back out, and that's just not good for anyone because you've already done the work. So this basically makes sure that you are going to get paid because they have signed the contract and they have guaranteed that they're going to pay you. I have a part about estimates in here, meaning that these fees that are written down on the first page are just estimates and they're not the actual final price. Sometimes I do delete this because when I have set project prices, I like to guarantee that that is going to be the final price, but it totally depends on what you want to do and how you work and how busy you think you're going to be, or whatever it is that's going on at the time you're doing that project. Now the changes section basically means that if the client wants work outside of the project scope, like on the details that I put, like these 2 revisions or 3 revisions, if they want more work after, then I'm going to have this hourly fee, and then that is what they'll have to pay extra past the set fee that we've already decided. Now, ownership. Ownership is a huge thing, especially if someone wants to take something from you before they've paid you, or if they want to take something from you that you have not allowed them to take. So your work is your own. You are the designer. You're the one making this work, and it's technically yours, but it will only become theirs once you have delivered it and they have paid you. So you always want to get that payment before you release the final designs, because you don't want to have someone scam you, even though you know you're trying to make good client relationships. But yes, people have done it, people will steal things, and you just have to cover all your bases. So yes, the work will then become theirs and they will be able to do whatever they want with it and use it wherever they would like after you have been paid for the work that you have completed. Okay, I'm back. My camera died. So where was I? So what's important about the ownership part is that if they were to take it, you have written in your contract that you will take legal action against them if they do steal your work without paying you. And then we get to the last part, which is about suspension or cancellation of the project. So like I said in a previous episode, you do have the right to cancel. You are completely in the right because it is written in your contract, and they also have the right to cancel. Therefore, there are 2 different sides, but this breaks down what actually will happen if either party cancels. So basically what is stated in the contract is that if the client is showing a lack of distrust and going over and over the fact that they don't really like the project and they have pushed it farther and farther and they're micromanaging the situation, which has happened to me before where I did have to cancel on a client. You can watch that story in my freelance experience episode. And I also reserve the right to keep all my work legally mine if they do not want to pay the final price. So I will not release anything to them, and that is okay, and that project will then be canceled. And then also on their side, the client will be able to cancel if they are just not getting what they want out of it. And also, you want them to come to you, and obviously you want to go to them if you're going to cancel the project. You just want to keep open communication. So if they are going to come to you and say that they want to cancel, try to remedy the situation as best as possible. But if you've come to the conclusion that either way it's not able to be saved or salvaged, then there will be a cancellation fee, and that is also written out in the contract. And then the last part is the acceptance part, which basically has the line to sign and date, and then you sign and date. So when I send out this contract to people, I tell them to read it over. I send them a PDF. Read it over, definitely make sure that you know what you're getting into, and then sign it and send it back. So it's very simple, very straightforward, and hopefully that kind of breaks it down for you if you've been confused about contracts for a while. So invoices. So in the last episode, we broke down basically what to charge and how to even figure that out for yourself, but now we're going to talk about actually how to do it. So invoicing, getting payments, actually how you're going to receive the payments, and all of that. So again, my invoice looks aesthetically pleasing. It's not just a piece of paper with different legal jargon and numbers on it. It is a nice aesthetic look. So I put the date, I usually put the number of invoice that it is, so it's usually number 1 or number 2 for the client, and then I bill it to the person. I usually put their email address and their name, and then what the project is for. And then on the right, I put the amount that is due at the time and the due date, which is usually 7 to 10 days after the bill is sent. So under that is like the actual bill part. So that is what the service that was provided and the actual quantity, and then the total final price, and then the amount due at this time. So like I said, in the contract it's stated, but in my invoicing, I always bill people 1/2 of the payment at the beginning before I start any work, and then my final payment is the second half of the project. So I always send a second invoice at the end before I deliver them their final product. So I make sure that I am paid with the second half of the payment at the end. So there's always 2 invoices per client. I always make sure to have my terms and conditions at the end. I say thank you for your business, and I make sure that there is a $10 late fee if they are late. Usually they pay me right away so we can get started. So the invoice is really straightforward and pretty simple, and basically I send this out to my client, and I usually send it with the contract at the beginning once we've squared off everything that we're gonna do and we're very clear on like the project getting started. So then I send the contract invoice and I say I've attached that, I tell them that in the email, or if this is in person or over the phone, you can just tell them what you're sending over. And yeah, and then I just send that over. I have them sign the contract, and to actually get paid, I usually use a few different things. So there are a few different ways to get paid. There are things like PayPal, there's Venmo, there's a lot of different things. These are some of my suggestions. A lot of people have issues with some of these and have good experiences with some of them. I've had nothing but good experiences with PayPal, but some people really don't like it. I know that there have been, horror stories in the past, but there's lots of different ways to get paid online. And also, if they are not able to do that, you can also get a check in the mail. So lots of different ways to get paid, and those will also be linked in the description. So I feel like I gave you all the info I can give you about contracts, invoices, how that all kind of breaks down. This is all kind of like the legal logistical stuff about freelancing that sometimes people don't talk about. They don't talk about like what to have in a contract and like how to cover all your bases and make sure that you're protected as a designer as much as, the client is. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please give it a like. This liking and thumbs upping the video really helps me. And also subscribe if you haven't, like I said, and also ring the bell to get notified when I upload. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Ugh, the camera dying really threw off the whole day. It's fine. I did it. I got it done.